I thought the apartment I moved into would give my unborn baby a safe start. But sometimes, a building chooses you, and once it does, it never lets you leave. I moved into apartment 47 last winter. Old building, good price, quiet block. At least that's what the listing said. Soft hum of fluorescent lights. My husband Ethan and I were expecting our first child. Money was tight, so we jumped on anything we could afford. The landlord, Mr. Vale, handed us the keys with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Congratulations," he said. "You'll fit right in." He said you'll, not you two. I remember that. The first night was fine, mostly. But around 3:33 a.m., I woke up to a low humming through the vents. It sounded like someone whispering a prayer under their breath. I blamed the heating system. The next night, same time, 3:33. Only this time the whisper sounded closer, almost like it was coming from inside the walls. A week later, our neighbors introduced themselves. An older couple, Margot and Raymond Vale, same last name as the landlord. Margot brought a jar of jam. "Homemade," she said, forcing it into my hands. "For the baby. Keeps the mother strong." The jam was dark red, too red. That night I dreamed of something pulsing in that jar. When I woke up, it was sitting on my nightstand even though I'd left it in the kitchen. Ethan swore he didn't move it. Heartbeat sound. Every day new sounds, a faint rattle in the pipes, footsteps above us even though we were on the top floor. Whispers that stopped whenever I turned on the light. Ethan said stress was making me hear things. Maybe he was right. But one night I pressed my ear to the wall and heard my name. Claire, Claire. It wasn't a voice I recognized. At my first prenatal checkup, I met Dr. Calder, a friend of the Vales. He changed my vitamins. Said the new ones were more organic. They tasted like rust and dirt. After that, the dreams got worse. I'd wake up sweating, convinced someone had been standing over me. Sometimes the sheets smelled like metal. One night, Margot invited us to a small gathering. The whole building showed up. The lights were dim, candles everywhere. Everyone raised a glass and said, "To new life." When they looked at me, every single person smiled. No one blinked. Low wind hum, I excused myself to the hall. That's when I heard chanting behind the closed doors. Dozens of voices. My name again. After that, Ethan started spending time with them. He said they were helping with the nursery, but he came home smelling like their incense, sweet and metallic. He stopped touching my stomach. Said the baby was still forming. Still forming? What did that even mean? I noticed a mark on his palm one night, like a burn in the shape of a spiral. He said it was from a lighter. He was lying. Margot brought gifts for the nursery. A cradle carved from dark wood, a mobile of moons and suns, a tiny rocking horse missing one eye. I wanted to refuse them, but Ethan said I was being rude. That night, the cradle rocked on its own. No wind, no movement, just a slow creak. Wood creaks, like something unseen was testing it. My friends stopped calling. Mom's letters came opened. When I tried to leave, the elevator froze between floors. The lights flickered, then came back, and Margot was standing inside with me. "You shouldn't strain yourself," she said. "The child needs you here." When the doors reopened, we were somehow already back on my floor. I never touched that elevator again. At my next appointment, Dr. Calder turned the ultrasound screen toward me. The image was blurry, the heartbeat uneven, but I swear, it didn't sound like one heartbeat. It was two, overlapping, one deep, one shallow. He printed the photo, slipped it into an envelope, and handed it over. When I opened it at home, the paper was blank, except for one word in red ink, "Chosen." A few nights later, I heard a faint scrape near the laundry room. When I followed it, I found a hidden door behind the dryer, half-rotted wood, metal handle cold as ice. I pulled it open and saw a stairwell leading down. I should have walked away, but I went down. At the bottom, a single bulb flickered. The entire building was there. All of them, Ethan too, standing around a stone table. He looked at me, eyes wet. "It's for us," he said. They promised we'd never struggle again. On the table burned my ultrasound photo. The flame was blue. No heat, no smoke. Just light. I ran. Didn't even grab my coat. 2 weeks later, labor started early. It was too soon. Too violent. Ethan called Calder, but Margot arrived first. She brought towels, candles, and that smell. The same iron sweetness that made my stomach turn. They forced me onto the bed. I screamed, I fought, but they held me down. "You can't take it," Margot whispered. "It's not yours anymore." Lightning hit outside. The lights exploded. Darkness, screams, whispers twisting together until everything went silent. When I woke up, the sun was out. The room was empty. Ethan gone. The cradle beside me rocked slowly. Inside it, ashes, long pause. That's when I realized the truth. The building hadn't chosen me for the baby I was carrying. It had chosen the baby for itself. They told me my baby never survived. But every night since, I hear it breathing in the walls. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. They said it was complications, but no one would tell me what really happened. Ethan didn't visit. Margot sent flowers instead, white lilies. They smelled like bleach and smoke. When I got home, the apartment was spotless. Too spotless. Every trace of the baby was gone. Crib, blankets, bottles, even the jam jar. Only the dark wooden cradle remained, empty, still rocking. Wood creaked softly. The landlord, Mr. Vale, said Ethan had moved out. Family emergency, he told me. But when I checked the mail, there was a letter with Ethan's name still on it. I opened it. No address. Just a single typed line. It's already begun. I tore it up, threw it away. But that night I dreamed of ashes falling from the ceiling. They landed on my face, warm like breath. When I woke up, there was gray dust all over the cradle again. No draft, no open windows. I started hearing the humming again. That same low, vibrating note that had haunted me during the pregnancy. Only now it came from inside the cradle. I tried ignoring it. Headphones, white noise, even sleeping pills. But the sound grew louder every night. And underneath the hum, a faint heartbeat. 2 beats, out of sync. I asked the landlord if anyone had ever died in the building. He smiled like he'd been waiting for that question. Every building has its stories, he said. You should focus on moving forward, moving forward. But I couldn't leave. The moment I packed my bags, the lights went out. Every single bulb. Even my phone died. When power came back, the bags were empty again, clothes folded neatly back in drawers. It was like the apartment itself was keeping me here. I started checking public records. Every previous tenant in apartment 47 had been a woman. Each had moved in pregnant. None ever filed a change of address. That night I heard whispering through the air vents. Dozens of voices, too soft to make out, until one word broke through. Stay. I tried recording the sounds, but every file came out blank. No audio, just static, except once. I played it back, and instead of my voice, I heard Ethan. He was whispering, "Don't let them see you. The walls remember." I dropped the phone. The screen cracked, and for a split second my reflection smiled back, even though I wasn't smiling. The next morning, someone knocked on my door. 3 times, slow, heavy. When I opened it, no one was there, but on the floor sat a small box. Inside, a lock of dark hair tied with a red thread. And beneath it, a slip of paper that said, "Feed it." I threw it out. That night, the humming turned into crying. A baby's cry, soft at first. Then desperate, I froze. I didn't have a baby anymore, but the sound was real, coming from the cradle. I shone a flashlight inside. Empty. Yet the wood was warm, as if something had just been lying there. The next morning, faint handprints, tiny ones, appeared in the dust on the edge of the cradle. Each night after, there were more. And sometimes, they moved while I watched. I went to the basement again, hoping to find where the sound came from. But the hidden door was sealed with new boards, fresh nails still shiny, and carved into the wood was a single spiral, the same mark Ethan once had on his hand. I followed the hallway behind the laundry room instead. At the far end, there was a locked utility door. When I pressed my ear to it, I heard whispering again, my own voice, repeating, "You promised to protect it." I ran back upstairs, days blurred. I barely ate, barely slept, and every time I closed my eyes, I dreamed of the ashes again, drifting down, coating everything in gray. In one dream, I was standing in the nursery. The cradle was full again, not with a baby, with smoke. The smoke moved like it was breathing. When I reached out, it grabbed my wrist. I woke up screaming. There was a handprint burned into my skin. The next day, Margot appeared at my door. She didn't knock this time, just walked in like she'd never left. "It's hungry," she said softly. "You can hear it now, can't you?" I backed away, but she followed me into the nursery. "You shouldn't have fought it. That's why it cries." "What are you talking about?" I yelled. "My baby's gone." She smiled. Nothing is ever gone. The building keeps what it's owed. Then she touched the cradle, and for the first time I saw movement inside it. Ashes shifting, forming something almost human. I ran. Out the door, down the hall, through the stairwell. But every floor looked the same. Every door led back to my own apartment. When I finally burst into the hallway again, the cradle was waiting in the middle of it. Empty. Still rocking. That night, I decided to end it. Gas stove on. All burners open. I sat by the window, watching the pilot light flicker. If the building wanted me, it would have to burn with me. But just as I struck the match, the baby monitor lit up. A faint static hum, then a whisper, "Mama." I froze. The flame burned down to my fingers, and I saw something in the reflection of the window. A shadow standing behind me, small and trembling, reaching out. It wasn't Ethan. It wasn't me. It was smaller. I turned around slowly. The cradle was empty again, but the blanket inside was moving, as if something invisible was crawling beneath it. Then it stopped, and the humming ceased. The next morning, I woke up in the hospital again. A nurse said they found me unconscious in the apartment. Gas leak, apparently. No one else was there. They said I was lucky to be alive. I asked for my ultrasound. The nurse looked confused. "There's no record of any pregnancy," she said. "You were admitted alone." When they released me, I went back to pack what I could. But apartment 47 wasn't there anymore. The whole section of the building had been sealed off. New walls, new paint, no trace it ever existed. Mr. Vale was gone. No records, no forwarding address. The only thing I found was a single item in the mail slot. A wooden rattle carved with a spiral pattern. The same one Ethan had. The same one from the door. When I touched it, it was warm. And faintly from somewhere deep inside the walls came that heartbeat again, 2 beats. Still out of sync. Still alive. Slow fade of wind. Outro. Voiceover cue. If you ever find yourself in a building that feels older than the ground it's on, one that hums when you sleep, one that calls your name, don't wait to understand it, leave. Because some places don't want tenants. They want family,